you guys. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. We're going to be talking to Mackenzie. I still call you Mackenzie Edwards, but I guess that's still your name. She first appeared on Teen Mom OG in 2016 after she started dating Ryan Edwards. She was with the show until April 2021 until they were all let go. You and Ryan stayed married for a couple of years and then you guys split up January of 2023 it was, I think.
Yes.
And now you guys are headed for divorce. You're trying to live your life. He's living his life. You guys are still covered so much. He's back on the show. He just had a new baby. He's engaged. And you are not really in the public, not in the media. You're living like a private life, but you still get brought up so much.
I know.
And one thing that I notice is like when you post anything anywhere, people always think that there's some meaning behind it, that it's always pointed at somebody. And I've noticed that you really can't do anything without other people being brought up. So I'm so glad you finally agreed to do this with me because you guys, I've asked Mackenzie several times if she would come on and just talk about everything. And several times she has said no, she did not want to rehash things. She did not want to talk about any of this. Finally got her talked into doing it. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Okay, so several questions. I made a post and I asked people just like, what do they want to know from you? Gosh, there's several like big ones that people always ask. And I think probably the main one, and I feel like you know this one's coming, is
I've already got them listed out in my head with what I can already assume is coming.
the car wedding.
Yeah.
That whole. Can you walk us through that day? Because a lot of people's like, why did she marry him? How did she not know he was an addict? And why did she go through with the wedding? Can you walk us through? This is right. I mean, we're starting in, we're going full force, but
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that day?
So we had made plans to like elope, I guess, without really telling anybody. It wasn't supposed to be some drawn out thing or filmed or anything like that. And we just, I think it was like a casual, like Tuesday. We were just going to go get married and, call it a day and not really say anything because we were having a big wedding in November. And I guess this was like May of that year.
Mhm.
So then the cameras showed up and they were there. I guess they had communicated with Ryan that they were going to film, but I wasn't on that text thread. I guess I missed that memo. So
Okay.
then we told them like, hey, like this is what we're fixing to do. And they were like, no way, let's do it up. And I'm like, okay. So go get a dress. And Ryan's like, I'm going to get a haircut. And I'm looking back, like watching that stuff, like, yeah, I can definitely see why people would watch that and be like, how in the hell did you, can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure we're not censored here.
You can say whatever you want.
But I was like, now I can see like, how in the hell can you look at that and think like, he's really messed up. But I guess you kind of have to understand that I never met a sober Ryan. And I'd also never been raised around drugs. So I never saw a character change in that. Like it was always constant. And so if I ever noticed anything weird, he would just be like, oh, I've got a prescription for Xanax or whatever. And so that's why I figured like, okay, well, if I just turn this camera off, like, and kind of get to the bottom of it, because I'm looking at it this way. I'm not seeing it head on.
Right.
And I'm not trying to like not take accountability because I completely do, but just kind of where my brain was at the time.
Right. Back then you were 20 years old, right?
Yeah. But I'm like, something's not quite right. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something off. And so I'm like trying to get to the bottom of it and like be kind and like ask questions. And so that was like my thought process there. Well, sorry. Stella's asking, she's like, what in the heck?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get going and we get down to the river and everything just starts spiraling. It happens so fast. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like, if we can just get through it, like it's going to be okay. In hindsight, I should have shut it down. I should have never gotten in the car. I should have never done any of that. Like I take full accountability for that. But I just was young and stupid and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to make it better. Like obviously now I'd stand up for myself and what's right. But that's kind of where I was at then.
And in the moment, you had no idea what was that what
Oh, no, no, no. And so it was the very next day that I found out like what it
he had
actually
actually.
was. Yes. And I'll never forget, I called, um, a lot of things transpired in that short window of time. And I was on the phone with like an intervention
Mhm.
type thing. I don't even know how I found this phone number,
No, this is the
but
day after the car
yeah,
scene.
like the
Okay.
morning after, the very next morning, I'm on the phone with this interventionist and she's like having me go through this backpack and tell her what I'm seeing. And I'm telling her, and she's like, "Sweetie," I'll never forget it. She was like, "Sweetie, that's heroin." And I was like, I started laughing. I was like, "I don't know what that is, but that sounds really bad." And
Yeah,
she was like,
yeah.
I was like, "There's no way." And I was like, "He's not homeless." And that kind of speaks to exactly where,
What you thought
yes,
addiction was.
yes,
Like,
yeah, because I had never seen or experienced or known anything like that in my life. And I'm
right.
sure it was probably happening all around me, but I just never was in those situations.
Well, I've been told this before because I talk to people that know y'all,
Yeah.
and one of them is actually there, and,
Yeah.
Cassie's there in the background. I've talked to her before, but I've talked to a couple of people that know y'all that said Ryan told people he took Xanax and he had a prescription for it.
Yes.
So, that wasn't to see Ryan kinda that way, that would be how he would explain it, like, "Oh, I took Xanax
Right.
for, anxiety. I have a prescription for it," and nobody really
Yeah.
thought anything of it, and I've said that before on here, and people say, "Oh, Xanax doesn't do that to
Yeah.
you," but it absolutely will make you look like
Well,
that.
yeah, it might not do that to you if you're taking like a small dose, but like, you know,
But again, that's not what
from
he was even taking.
no, and no. And I feel bad like even talking about this right now because I feel like, and that's why I haven't ever really gone into detail, I guess, because I feel bad because I feel like I think he has come a long way.
Mhm.
And I feel bad like rehashing that. But on the other hand, like it does matter like where my state of mind was too,
'Cause
like,
it gets brought up all the
it
time, like, he
does.
gets so much hate for it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to make myself sound like a martyr or anything like that, but I almost feel like staying silent has done like more good than it has harm on that end, but it's done like more harm for me than good on my end.
Mhm.
But like I feel bad, you know?
Right. And one
Like if
thing
I'm
that
just being transparent.
we talked about before we got on the live is we don't want this live to make anything
No.
bad between
No.
we don't want yeah, that's not what we're trying to do here. We just
No.
wanna get because you can't escape it. Like, literally, you can
No.
post a TikTok, a joke, a
Yes.
trend, and, people's gonna say, "Oh, look at her being bitter, or look at her being
Yeah,
this way." And so that's why I've told you several times, like,
for
"Well,
sure.
why don't you come on and talk? Come and talk
Yeah.
to me and we'll do a live."
Yeah.
Someone asked, "Why did you jump on him so fast knowing what he was doing?" So I've seen this comment a lot too, like, "Oh, she wanted the fame, she wanted to be on MTV, she wanted the money." Like, she really didn't like Ryan, she just wanted MTV, and I'm like, "So do y'all think Ryan was, like, so ugly that nobody could like him?" Like, what if I was Ryan, I'd take offense to that. Like, I would take
Well,
offense to people saying, "Oh, she must have only wanted the fame if she got with me," you know?
Ryan was extremely handsome, and
Mhm.
I stand by that. I mean, I was 20 years old, and really, to be honest, like take away the all that other stuff that people say, like I just wanted to be loved. And
Yeah.
Ryan is or was very much so, like very respectful. He always opened every door. He was very doting. Like there was a whole side that like wasn't seen that I mean, I loved very, very much.
Mhm.
And so yeah. I mean, it wasn't it had nothing to do with the money. And there I had a little boy at the time. I mean, I still have him, but he was little
Yeah.
at
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
And, Ryan was like, "I'll take care of you. Like, you don't have to work. Like, you've missed so much time with him. Like, I want you to be able to spend time with him." Like, he really cared about that. And it felt like he really cared about my relationship with Hudson. And it was all, I was so easily manipulated. I really just wanted to be loved. And if I could go back, like, and snatch 18 or 20-year-old Mackenzie up by her collar, I'd be like, go find some self-worth. And if you can't find it, like, go make some, like, go get
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
because
I can
my
understand that.
self-worth was like way down here at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And so I really was, I feel like, I guess in hindsight, like if you ask 29-year-old Mackenzie about 20-year-old, like there was just no self-worth there.
mhm,
And that makes me really sad for
yeah,
her.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I your like y'all's relationship, your story like resonates with me so much
Yeah.
because like when I got with Sean, I was like 21, but I had 2
Yeah.
kids and it was very much the same. He's like,
Yeah.
he had a really good job. I mean, granted, it wasn't on TV, but it
Right.
was a good job. And he was like, why don't you? And I worked, I was managing a finance company,
Hmm.
so I missed a lot out of my kid's life, them
Yeah.
being little. And he was like, why don't you stay home? Like, I make enough
Yeah.
money, like, you can stay
Yes.
home. And for a while, I didn't quit my job until we got married because I
Mhm.
was like, I don't want to quit. And then we break up, something like that.
Yeah.
But I see that question, people like, "Oh, she just wanted the fame," and I'm like, "Well, what did she do with it? Like, if she wanted the
Right.
fame so bad, like, why did she when the show left, like, why did she just kinda disappear? Why is she
Yeah.
still disappeared? Like, she posts a TikTok every once in a while or,
Yeah.
like, if she really wanted this fame that everybody thinks that she wanted, why
Hmm.
is she still not chasing that today,
Yeah.
Even on the show. I remember I actually just watched this maybe yesterday. It was your first Teen Mom reunion.
Yes.
They brought you out for the first time,
Yeah.
and Dr. Drew, like, started speaking to you, and he asked you about, like, the show, and you were like, "Well, when we first started dating, it was no, 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 hell no, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
be on the show." But
Yeah.
it just got to be where, like, I was around, like, we lived
Mhm.
together, and
Yeah.
we were he was filming, so it just got to be where I decided just to go ahead and do it
Yeah.
because we were together all the time, and they were trying
Right.
to film.
And
So
like he never pushed me into it. He never was like, you have to do this. It was always like very much so like hands off. Like if this is what I would love for you to do this, but I'm not pushing you. And so
mhm,
I remember the crew kind of being like, it's really hard to shoot around you because there's so much happening in Ryan's life that we can't cover really because I'm literally standing in the hallway watching him film, and they're
right.
like, he's over here talking about you like it doesn't make sense. And I was like, well, I mean, like, what's the worst that can happen? And that's where my brain was then. Now I'm like,
You
I
became the
know what the worst.
villain.
Yeah.
You became the villain.
Yes. And that's fine. Like, whatever. I realized so quickly that, whatever story creative, because there's like a creative department behind the scenes of MTV and Viacom, um, whatever they want it to look like is what it's going to look like. Grant, did I play into that? Hell yeah. Did I give them the content to, yes, I did.
Right.
I played right into that. And I will own that. I'm not
Mhm.
if I'm in the wrong, I'm very much okay with admitting that. So
Yeah.
there were
Um,
things I
Go ahead.
never like watched the show like in continuity. And so
Okay.
now that TikTok's a thing and whatnot, I've seen clips like come up and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe that I said that. Somebody really should have punched me in the mouth. Like, you know, I just really should not have said some of that stuff. Like that was really hateful. And if I could go back, I would really undo a lot of that.
Yeah, that's a lot,
Yeah.
of other things. People's like, "Why did she do that? Why did she do this? Did
Right.
she ever apologize to this?" And this is something we spoke
Yes.
about earlier today, is the
Yeah.
letter that you read to Maci
Yeah.
at the reunion. Can you walk us through how that
Yeah.
transpired?
Well, I'll tell you. So that car scene that happened,
Yep.
that was exactly a week before that letter was read on stage.
Yes, I was told that.
Yes. And so I said, no, no, no. They were like, you're going to have to go in Ryan's place and film and do this. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't even know like how I'm feeling because I
Because
was
he was at
stunned.
rehab at this point, right?
Yes. So, okay. So the car scene.
Yep.
And then the next morning, we find out we drive to Memphis that day for to like help hold an intervention and like he's going to rehab, right? And he is asleep the whole time. And then he won't
Wow.
go. So we come home. 2 days after that, we all agreed like nobody speak, don't respond to any messages, and the only thing you can say is like, I will answer the phone when you are ready to get help. So
Okay, a lot of people was like, she saw this, she went ahead and got married to him, and she enabled him. She never held him accountable. But what a lot of people don't know is the very next day, y'all
yes,
were off to rehab, and this was something that
and he didn't go. And so we all came to an agreement where, like, we're not going to text back. We're just going to be like hands off, say, I'm not answering your phone call. I'm not speaking to you. I'm not talking to you, nothing until like you are ready to go. Okay. Didn't know how long that was going to take.
Mhm,
2 days later, after that, so now we're 3 days post car scene.
mhm.
2 days later, after that, he's ready to go, has his bags packed. We're off to Texas for rehab.
Okay.
And MTV said that they would pay for me a place to stay down there if I was to go to New York and film the reunion in
And you
Ryan's
didn't wanna do
spot.
it,
I
right?
did not want to go because I was really frazzled. I've never cried that many tears, I don't think, ever in my life. Like, it was sad. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
21. I just turned 21.
And
And
this is your life. Like, yeah, you're on the
yeah,
show, you're newly on the show, you're newly married. The day after you get married, you find out that your husband's not taking Xanax like you thought,
right.
but he's taking something way worse.
Yeah.
And you have, Hudson, and so now yeah.
Hmm.
And now you gotta go do this reunion for the
Yeah.
TV show?
And they were like, if you'll go, like, we'll release his check so that when he gets out of rehab, like, it's fine. But if you don't go to this reunion, we're not releasing it. And I'm like, okay. So get on a plane from in Dallas, go to New York. One of my friends meets me there. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Mhm,
Like, I'm mad because I'm hearing all this other stuff. Like, I know about conversations that have been had. Then I see stuff on the show that's like not transpiring. They're not clicking with,
mhm. With
what
what you
happened.
know things to be.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm very frustrated. And I was like, well, I guess the only way I can really get any sort of thoughts out of my brain is to write them down and do it this way. Because if I don't, I'm going to freak the hell out.
Mhm,
And so I read it to everybody. Everybody's like, yeah, yeah, like that's good, this and that. Now looking back, like that was trash. That is so crazy. That delivery, terrible, terrible.
yeah.
Should not, once again, should not have done that.
Did you go
Um,
back and watch that? Like, have you ever went back and watched?
yes, it popped up on TikTok and I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel so bad. Like, I really should not have done any
Yeah.
of that. But I did the best with what I had at that time, which was not a lot. And
Yeah.
so I read it and I'll be honest with you, like, I did not see a problem with it until much, much, much later.
Yeah.
Until like I really kind of figured out who I was and like what I believed in and like the direction I wanted my life to go in and
Mhm.
how I wanted to treat other people. Um, I didn't see a problem with it
Yeah.
until much later.
Where
Like,
you were
just
also told by the people that you read it to, like, "Oh, like, yes, we've been
discreet.
wanting you to say
Yeah.
these things." That's
Yes.
so true. Because basically what the letter boiled down to is, uh, Maci apparently knew about the addiction,
Yeah.
and I guess she didn't say anything for a while, but then started talking about it on the show.
Yes.
Um, and I'm sure, right, no addict wants their addiction broadcasted for the world to see because I think she started talking about it before the car scene even happened. Did
Y- yes, but I was not like aware of any of that.
Well, none of it had played on the show yet.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So by the time the reunion happens, you have, we've all watched it. You have the episode where Maci goes out with the girls on like that vacation, and
Yeah.
she tells them that Ryan is an addict and that it's been
Yeah.
this big secret, but he's an addict. And then you have, a few episodes down, you have the car scene where it's like, oh wow, he definitely got
Yes.
some issues. But
Right.
you did not know about the thing with Maci
No.
until it all aired, and then y'all go to the reunion,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, yeah, I get so
And I
you're like,
thought
wow, she knew, she didn't say anything, but she put it on the show for content, like, she talked about it without, like, talking to, like, us about it to make sure
that
we
is
were
where
aware.
my brain was back then.
Right.
And I think one of the really common misconceptions is that people think that I was blaming her for his addiction, and I was 1000% not doing that.
Right.
I didn't feel like it at that point in time that is not where my headspace was when I was doing that.
Mhm.
You know, I
just
can
felt
see
like
why it would come across that way
you
now.
just felt like, well, you knew about it and you didn't say anything except on the TV. Like, you said it in front of
Yeah.
the cameras, but you didn't say it to anybody else, which at the
Yeah.
time, like a lot of people may say, well, she doesn't owe you that
She does,
explanation. It's
and
not
she
up
does.
to Yeah, it's not
As
up to
I've
her
gotten
to
older.
tell you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But
you're like, you're
then,
right, she doesn't. But at the time, you thought she should
yes,
have.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
I
Now I'm
got it.
like,
I got it.
no, I completely understand. Like, we're tracking on the same page here now.
Yes, and
Yeah.
2, like you said, you're, like, 20 years old, your husband's off to rehab, you just find out he's got this horrible addiction, you're kind of forced to come here, you don't want to come do this, but you're told, "If you don't, y'all don't get paid for the season," so
Yes.
you have to go, and you put it all down on this piece of paper, and you read it to other people, and they're like, "Yes, that's how we feel. That's what we want you," like, "We're good with that. We like
Yeah.
that." That's
Yeah.
a great
Yes. And it went through multiple avenues of people who heard it.
Did
And
Doctor Drew hear it before you read it on stage?
I don't know if he heard it,
Okay.
but I know that there were a lot of people that did. And it was pretty much co-signed by everyone else.
Okay.
And I feel like, and even saying that sounds like I'm like blame shifting or like not taking account. I take once again, like full accountability for writing this. But
Right.
I
Um,
kind of felt like everybody was on the same page at that point in time.
yeah, yeah, you felt like this is how everybody feels. This is what everybody thinks I
Yeah.
should do. This is how everybody thinks I should approach
Yeah.
her. Um, and people always ask, did you ever apologize to Maci for that?
So there was a time, it's been several years ago, where, and it was on the show, and it wasn't for the show, but it was like while they were filming, I texted and was talking about like I wanted to make amends,
Mhm,
and I wanted to throw down that olive branch and be like, I am sorry for
mhm,
a lot of a multitude of things. I am
right,
genuinely sorry. And she got it and she read it on the show and shut it down. And if I was in her shoes then, I would probably shut that down too,
yeah.
because I wouldn't want to hear shit that anybody had to say to me that treated me like that. And so I understand now. But
I know the clip you're talking about.
yeah,
She said, I think maybe she told Taylor about it, and she said, "I'm not
yeah,
gonna respond to it."
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but the thing about it is this was early in your marriage to Ryan. You guys did go on to become friendly.
Yeah, yes, everybody was cordial for sure and trying to like do the right thing, and like it's it's a weird mix, and you're trying to do the right thing, you don't know. And I think at the time, so when those pictures were happening, the family
Yeah,
photos,
because you guys took family pictures. Yes.
they still had a TRO.
Oh, really?
Yes.
On Ryan.
Yes. If you look at the dates, there is still that going on at that time. And so everybody's just trying to be civil. We're kind of coming out on the backside of that. And like, it's been really ugly for a minute. And then we're trying to like do the right thing. And we wanted to take those pictures as like a Christmas gift for um, his mom.
Mhm.
And
Jenna Larry.
yeah. So,
Yeah, well, that's something that
yeah.
I've said too. I'm like, well, clearly they made a like clearly Macy and Mackenzie moved past that letter because they ended up like taking family photos together.
It
So I
wasn't
think
like, hey girl, like let's take family photos. It was like, let's do
right.
this something so nice and so united for his mom to have, because she loves everyone, and let's go ahead and have this monumental deal, for her.
Right.
I mean, it was
And
special. It was great.
yeah, I'm
And
sure that was something she did really appreciate.
but like it wasn't us like hanging out. It
Right.
was
Yes,
just
yes, that
we
makes
were
sense.
just, yeah.
at the time when the TRO happened,
Mm-hmm.
when, Ryan called Taylor, made those comments, which he denied on the show. He said that was a lie, that he never said that to Maci.
Yeah.
I remember him sitting on the counter in his parents' house, and he's like, "She's lying. I didn't say that."
No, that was at my house. That was at
Oh,
this
was it?
house.
Oh, that was that
It
house?
was right in here. Yes.
Okay.
I was
Oh,
pregnant with Stella. Yeah. I was very pregnant. I was about to give birth because we moved in November and I had her in January. So it was like right in between there. Yeah.
mhm.
Yes, that was here.
And he denied. He said that Maci was lying. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But a TRO was put in place. And
Yes.
how long after the TRO did it take before you and Maci started conversing? Or did you guys always kind of conversate? Or did she go a while where
No,
she didn't even talk to you?
no. There were years that we didn't speak. And really, I can't remember having a conversation past those pictures being taken.
Wow. Okay.
Which, which at that time, I wasn't even pregnant with Stella when we took
Right.
those pictures. So that's like when he's talking about that in this kitchen, that's at least a year, give or take, because Jagger was just born. So that would have been like October, November of 18. And we moved in at the end of 19. So we hadn't really even spoken since then.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting that
Yeah.
you guys.
Well, I did some really shitty stuff. Like it was really like cutthroat. It was at your throat. And I remember going to production and being like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that kind of relationship going on. And then they would ask me and Ryan's opinion about things, and I would try to shut up and not say anything. And then I would end up saying stuff, and then they would play it. And sometimes it like wasn't exactly what I was in the way that I was saying. Does that make sense? Like it
Yep.
was just kind of spun around.
Yeah,
I
because
should have
I've
been.
talked to several people that are on reality shows, and
Yeah,
they'll say like, "Dude, I didn't even say that there.
yeah,
Like,
I
I
remember.
said this, I said
Yeah,
that to this thing, but they put it there,
yes,
which makes it sound like I'm being a butthole, So,
yes. Well, I can remember us sitting in this living room talking to production, and I was like, I feel like we have had the best season we've ever had. That's just no drama, really, you know, just really good. And then I saw like bits and pieces, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so you can never, I don't feel
tell.
like it's possible to hold like genuine relationships unless you're both like communicating and on the same page when you're doing a reality show.
Mhm. Because
If
you
you're
just
on
never know.
No, and if you're communicating on the same page, like you can sit there and be like, "Hey, they're asking this. I'm letting you know, like, this and that." But like, we didn't have that, and
Mhm. Right.
so like, there are some things I look at and I'm like, "God, I feel so bad. Like, I should just shut the hell up." But
You were young though too, and I don't know if this was the case for you. I have this theory that it may have been just because I've seen it happen so much,
yeah,
and it was like that way with me. But like usually when a new girl starts dating a guy that maybe isn't the best dad to his kid at the time, and maybe having his struggles, when you just start dating that guy, usually the guy lets you believe that the baby mama is the problem, and it's like, well, she don't let me do this, and she don't let me do that, and I would do this more, but she don't allow it, and even sometimes
it was subtle.
their parents will do that.
Yeah, and it was subtle, and it was because he from the get go was like, I'm not gonna give you any ammo. Like this is all on you. You can figure out people for who they are on your own. Like yada yada. I hadn't seen the show prior, so I didn't see their relationship history
Mhm.
and how that
Oh
kind
wow.
of. Yeah, I didn't have that insight because when I found out that that's what he did for work, he was like, I'm gonna ask you not to watch it, and so that you can kind of form your opinions of me on your own. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, like, yeah,
So I don't know how big it is where y'all live, but you had never seen it, but surely you knew about it, right? Like, oh,
I
this is
knew
what they
that he
filmed.
was 16 and pregnant.
Okay,
And so, like, I knew that that had happened. But Ryan and I, first of all, we're almost 10 years apart.
that's
I went,
true.
I went to a private school. He went to a public school on the complete opposite side of town. We did not run with any of the same people. Like, even when we got together and we were like meeting each other's like friends and stuff, nobody had any like common denominators. It was like two completely separate groups of people that neither of us had ever like interacted with, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
So, we never had like a path cross. I was literally just out of high school.
So how did you end up meeting him? And when you met him, was you like, "Wait, this is the guy from that show, I think?"
No. So we met at the sports barn in Hickson, and I was working night shift at the time. I was going in to work out, or no, I was coming out and he was coming in, and I saw him get off his motorcycle and I was like, hot damn, like, who is that? He is so handsome, you
Well, I
know.
think back in the day, everybody had I think
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
had a crush on Ryan back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
was extreme. Cassie said I did not. Nope.
Well, maybe not
Okay.
you.
But he was extremely handsome, and I think more so than anything, like, he just had this like way about him where he just did not. He was so himself,
Mhm,
like maybe a little too much himself, but he
mhm.
was so himself. And I grew up in a way that, like, I'm very much a free spirit, and
Yeah.
I'm very different from how I grew up, which is not free spirited. I'm going to live this life and I'm going to get everything I can out of it. And like, we're just very different. And
Mhm,
so when I saw him and we had a conversation and everything, I mean, it was just like, wow, like, that's what I have wanted, like, for my life, like,
mhm,
forever. That's like been something that I'm like trying to live and like let out for myself.
mhm.
And so we go on this date and whatnot, and I'm late for work, and it was really just, I don't want to. I about said downhill from there, but that's not what I meant. Like, the ball just,
I'm
you
a little
know.
further like you, like, "Oh, here I
Yeah,
am." Yeah, I
yeah,
get what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
So I mean, it just, it took off from there. Like, it, I don't know.
So when you guys got into the relationship,
Yeah,
you moved in with him, like, a couple of months
very.
into.
No, it was super fast,
Okay.
and the reason being, so right when we got together, him and his dad had that falling out. It was on the
Yes.
show. Okay, I was there. I was present for that,
Okay.
and he couldn't go back to his house. And I'm like, okay. And if you know me, and like Cassie can tell you the same thing. Like, I'm very much like, okay, if we got a problem, like, how are we going to fix it? Like, A, B,
Yeah.
C, D. We got plan A, plan B, plan C, and we got a Hail Mary. Like, let's get
Right.
something
Yeah.
together. So he was like, I just don't want to be alone. Like, can you stay here? And then I ended up staying there. And then I ended up just moving in because at the time I was living with my parents because I had to move back home. So we just ended up moving into that house, the little white house that was like an inheritance thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we moved in there. Um, and it just kind of happened really quick. Like,
Yeah.
we were hanging out a lot. I worked night shift, so I was off during the day. So we were just able to spend like so much time.
Yeah, and I guess, because people's like, "Oh, she jumped on that so quick. She knew him. She wanted the fame."
Yeah.
Like, they just got together so quick. And I'm like, why couldn't it have been that they were just two people that really
Oh,
were enthralled
yeah.
with each other at the time? Why does it gotta be
Yeah.
that he had some, you
There wasn't
know
like some motive. It would just
Right,
happen. And, it really happened organically. And I mean, I don't know. It wasn't bad.
right, and I had a thought, and it just slipped my brain. Crap, what was I gonna say? But yeah, a lot of people just have this assumption that, like, you knew him from the show, sought him.
Capitalized on that. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm like, I'm sure you didn't, like, as soon as you met him, was like, "So how much money are you making?" You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like,
no. And we didn't, and honestly, Leslie, like, we did not have a joint bank account until tw- like maybe Jagger or Stella was born. Like, it was way later that we had a joint bank account. We always had two separate accounts. I didn't know at the time like how much money he made. I think that that's kind of rude to ask somebody that. Like,
mhm,
so I didn't.
mhm.
Cassie Maci's over here flickering my lights.
Leave me alone.
Trying to
I was
plug it
wondering
in.
what was going on.
I know. I've got rope lights going around my porch, and so.
My phone's about to die, okay?
But I think there's another plug.
Oh, that just went dark.
So when you started dating him,
Yeah.
some people surely knew about his reputation, about how, maybe he wasn't the greatest dad at the time. But you did not. Did your parents know anything about him?
So when I told my mom what he did for work, she thought that he was a weatherman. When I told
What?
her he was on TV, she was like, "Oh, well, I don't think I've ever really seen him on the news or like on the weather." So no, we didn't. Growing up, like I grew up very much in the sticks, and we did not have cable at all. So, and even when we got cable, it was like the Faith and Family package, and I can guarantee you that MTV was not on there.
Yeah.
Your
That's
face. You're
that's
like,
just wow, very, like, innocent that she thought he was the weatherman,
I know,
like
I know, I know.
well, did
It's
they like him? Like, when you introduced them to him, did they like him? Like
yeah. I mean, I felt like that. I didn't really hang around enough to like, and I'm not the kind of person to really care what anyone else's opinion
right,
is.
yeah.
So I didn't really ask, to
You're
be
just like,
honest.
"This is my man, like him or not,
Yeah,
whatever it is what it is."
yeah, and my family, I have a fantastic family, but they're very like, you make your choices, and we're gonna stay out of it, And I'm
Yeah,
sure, like now, I still have to this day, I've not talked to them about it because it makes me feel bad, like inside. So, like, we just avoid those conversations. I'm
yeah.
sure that they're probably like, "What in the hell is my daughter doing?"
Well, what is your dad's name again?
Bob.
Bob. I thought he was saying Pop on the 911 call. I
Oh,
thought he was saying, like, "This is Pop," and I
no,
was like, "I
Bob.
love that name, Bob. I love that name."
No.
Um, we'll get into the 911 call too,
Yeah,
that we'll get into that later, but,
sure.
so he goes to the rehab, you
Yes.
go to do the reunion, that
Yes.
whole letter thing happens that
Yes.
now you're like, "Holy crap, that was horrible."
Yes.
Looking back, yeah, that was wrong of
Yeah.
me to do
That was bad.
that.
If somebody
So
did that to me now, I promise you, like, it would not be well received. That would be the last thing somebody ever said to me.
well, somebody had said, like, "Well, now do you see how Maci," like, if now
Yeah.
that you're in this position, like, if you were sitting on that couch and it was, Amanda reading the letter to you, like, how did like
Yes. Oh, yeah.
so, yeah, I'm glad that we talked about that because so many people bring that up and so many people still have, like, such anger, and I'm like, I don't even think Macy's angry anymore over that.
I don't
Um,
know. It was never really talked about again after that point. But, like, I can see where that would, like I said, that if it was me now, that would be the last thing someone ever said to me. So,
yeah, yeah.
with their
Okay,
front
so
teeth intact.
what'd you say?
I said, with their front teeth intact. Like, you're not
Oh,
going to
yeah?
talk to me that way.
Yeah. So you do that, y'all. How long was he at rehab that first time?
It was not long. It was only a couple of weeks. And so he was like, "You've got to come get me or I'm going to leave." And knowing, knowing now, it's very different. So, like, I know obviously a whole lot more now than I did then. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you go to rehab, you detox, and then you don't have an issue." Like, okay, what's the problem? You
Mhm.
know, not quite understanding at all, like the schematics behind it. And that's a lifelong thing that you deal with. And so, but then, like I said, like, I was just like, "Oh, well, you detox and then what? Like, you do your little classes and you're good to go. Like, you're wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and we're headed on to better days.
And I think that's the thing is now today, there's so much information out there about
Oh yeah,
addiction and everything
yeah,
and relapsing. Like now we know, like, oh, you don't just go to rehab and you come
no,
home and the problem's solved. But
yes,
if it's your first time experiencing it, you might think that. You might think, okay, it's good. It's like we're
yeah,
good now.
yeah.
So that was kind of your way of thinking. It's like, okay, he's went to
That was
rehab.
definitely like my thought process then.
Yeah. Okay. So we move on.
Mhm.
April 2021 happens. That's where Jen and Larry sit on the couch at the reunion with Maci and Taylor, and all hell breaks loose.
Yes.
Yes, go inside YouTube.
Pause.
Okay.
It's very exciting that you're on YouTube right now.
Oh. Okay, yes.
So I think Ryan was maybe back at rehab at that point. Was he back in
No.
rehab?
No, we were there.
Oh, y'all were there?
Mhm.
Where they were filming? He refused to film though, right? Was
No.
it when he refused to film? Or you
No.
didn't?
We
Okay.
filmed. We both filmed.
Why do I not remember that?
They did
Okay.
not air it because we got out there and he was like, "Well, I wasn't like present for that. Like I was there, but I wasn't like there, like I was in like a separate or we were in a separate part of the building, I guess. So like we
Mhm.
weren't present for what had happened. We came in like drinking coffee, like, this is such a relaxing morning, and then find out like what happened and whatnot. And he's like, well, I'm not speaking on that because I didn't hear it and I wasn't present for it. So I'm not talking about it. And Dr. Drew, that was when they had to live stream it. We were at a wedding venue and they had to live stream Dr. Drew onto this deal. And he's asking these questions, and Ryan's like not budging at all. He is not giving anything. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. You'll have to ask them. I don't know. I don't know. And they're like, well, this is pointless. And then we got up and we left.
Wow. Because I don't know why. I mean, it was years ago. So for
Yeah.
some reason I was thinking he was at rehab, but I knew for sure, like I didn't remember you guys filming. But I
Yeah.
do remember the big problem was um, Taylor and Maci were upset because Larry would yell at Bentley during his games, and then they would make him go take pictures with Ryan and things like that. And they clearly didn't like that. So that
Mm-hmm.
came out at the reunion of them fussing, and it got really heated to where, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, heck, at one point I thought
Mm-hmm.
hands were about to go flying. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Thankfully it didn't get to that part. But after that, Maci talked to MTV executives and basically said, if Ryan continues to be on the show, I will not be on the show. I don't want my life all about
Yeah.
Ryan and that. So you guys were let go.
Yes.
Okay,
So
and when
go
talk
ahead.
about that.
So during that time in my life, and I had told Ryan, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. I had my first job, like, I was starting like a career path that I was really excited about. And I was like, this causes me so much stress and anxiety. Like, I cannot do this anymore. And I've always had this whole deal where I pray this prayer that's like, if it's not for me, like, firmly close the door to where there's just no, like, take it away because
Right.
I can't say no. So take it away.
Mhm.
And if it's for me, like, open the door so wide that, like, there's no,
There's no question.
yeah, no question. And so I prayed that prayer, and it was the very next morning that they called and they were like, we're done. We're done right now. And they didn't put blame on anyone. And then like later it came out and whatnot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it was that very next morning. It was so crazy because I just remember thinking like, what in the heck? Like,
Like, oh
there's
wow.
my sign. Like, if I didn't think God was real, I'd definitely think that now.
Right, absolutely, for sure. I mean, I would definitely take it as like, okay, this is the Lord moving
Yeah,
when he
right.
needed to move.
Yeah.
Um, how did Ryan take the news? Was he like, okay, it is what it is? Because he had a job at the time. You were working at the
No,
time.
he didn't have a job at the time.
Oh, he didn't.
No, I had a
Okay.
job at that time. He did not have that job for a little bit.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how was that in regards to, like, okay, financially, how is this going to affect us? Was that something scary to think about, or were you just like, I don't care, we'll figure it out?
So I was working, I had a really good paycheck coming in every month, and I was like, well, here's what we can do. We can have this like built up savings account and live off of what we make. Like, you can get a job and we can both work normal people jobs and
Mhm.
have a really good savings account. And he was like, no, like they're gonna come back. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I don't want that. So So I kept working.
Okay.
And then
How
as
long?
time went on, like he eventually got a job and worked it for a while. So
And was he sober at this time that you knew about, or were you not sure? Or
um well, I thought that things were going great,
okay,
but apparently they were not. So
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
This just popped in my head when you said that. You thought
Ah,
things were going great, and apparently they were not. But
mhm.
I thought about the messages that leaked of Ryan, like talking to another female, and
Yeah.
you were. This was when y'all were preparing for the actual wedding, right? Weren't you guys getting ready
Which
for
one?
the big
There were,
wedding? The big
there were
wedding.
I know, but there were a bunch of those messages.
Oh, wow, really?
Uh,
Well, I only seem to recall the one, and I'm not gonna say what he said in the message. Everybody knows what he said, but I remember those coming out where these messages get leaked where he's texting this girl
yeah.
and wanting to meet up with her, and then the girl releases messages where you messaged her and you're like, "Will you please stop with this? Like, please
Yes.
leave us stop."
Yeah.
Um, how did you find out about that? Did you find out that he was texting someone else because it leaked publicly?
Yes. And people like would send me messages on Instagram, like DMs and stuff, like, "Hey, just letting you know, like, there's a page on Tinder, and this and that." And I was like, "There's no way! Like, people make fake pages. Come on, nobody is making a fake page. Nobody is doing that. And if you are, you're weird. So please stop." But like nobody's doing
Yeah,
that.
but you fell
But I
into it.
believed
You're
it.
like,
Yeah, I believed it for a long time.
but I mean, he was sending pictures of him during that moment, so you kind of knew. Like,
Oh, yeah, because the angle of the photo was directed at the ceiling,
uh-huh.
and at the time where we lived it had a very like specific kind of ceiling. It
Hmm.
was like tongue and groove,
Hmm.
and it was the ceiling. Like it was my home. It was our house.
So there was no. Did he try to deny it? Did he try to say it was fake or
Yes.
photoshopped, or did he admit it?
No, never admitted that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. That had to be tough, to find that out publicly and to know, like, well, here is literally he's in our house. There's no denying it, but he's still denying it. And then you
Yes.
even reached out to the woman and was like, "Can you just please stop?" Like,
Like, what I remember saying something stupid like, "What's it going to cost you to stop? Like, can you please just quit?"
well, for one, it's kind of embarrassing to have
Oh,
his.
yeah. More than anything. Yeah, because okay, like we've got this great relationship because like we really rarely argued.
Mhm.
And in the frame of mind that I was in, like at that time, like everything was going good. Like we're doing good, he's doing good. Then like the highs are really high, but then the lows would be really low, and then we come out of that, and like this and that. And so like I thought that it was better than it was. So
Yeah. And people see Ryan, doing so great now and seeming
yeah.
so happy, and they're like, he never had that with Mackenzie. But I've been told by people that y'all were like that in private at
Yeah,
times.
I'm not the kind of person that sits there and like I can think of all kinds of memories I have with my kids that I don't have pictures of because I don't have my phone out taking the pictures.
Right.
I haven't really ever been that way.
Mhm.
And like I'll just like enjoy the moment instead of
Yeah.
just blasting it everywhere. But I mean, I'm not here to say like, "Oh, it was just terrible," like 24/7. Like no, like there were good times. Like,
Mhm.
and we did laugh and have fun and like have like go on these crazy experiences that were fun. Like it
Right.
wasn't all just 0 to 100.
Right.
Like I said, like the highs were really high, but the lows were like super low.
When would you say, because you left January 2023, I think it was, but when you and that even somebody that wasn't in y'all's relationship, somebody that covers Ryan, we understood. This
Yeah,
is bad.
yeah,
because of the things that he was posting, the pictures he was posting where you could tell he was not well.
Yeah.
How long was he like that before he started posting things to where the public started catching on to, he obviously had relapsed?
I don't know if there was ever really a relapse. It was just, it never stopped. It
Okay.
just got heavier.
Okay. So when did it get like that heavy?
I honestly, like, I couldn't give you a timeline. There were times where, like, I would notice things and I was like, what is going on with you? Like, something is so wrong. I do not, like, what is the deal? And he
Mhm.
was like, I'm just tired. Like, I stay out in the garage all night. Like, I'm this and that. And I'm like, no, like, something is wrong.
Right.
And, but like, you can't, like, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
Because I was like, I remember having like a breaking point and being like, I don't know what to do. I'm fed up.
Mhm.
I'm raising these kids like on my own with like the support of his parents and my parents and whatnot, but like not him.
Mhm.
It was rough. Like, it was not a fun go.
Yeah.
And I just remember begging. There was like a certain instance when we were out of town, and it was really scary, and I didn't know what to do. And I just remember like sitting on that plane and thinking like, I cannot live my life in this manner. Like, we have all of these crazy experiences that I'll never, maybe never, like, get to experience again, and they're all riddled with like anxiety. I can't take my kids on a vacation without like worrying that something's wrong, you know?
Mhm.
And I didn't want that. I remember my little boy like asking, and he was super young, like, he asked if I was going to give him a good life.
Aw.
Like, what are you supposed to say as a mom? What do you say?
Right.
Like,
I'm
yes, we're
trying,
going to keep going
like
down this road. Like, no. So, like, for the first time in my life, I had to set a boundary and I had to hold it despite whatever came my way. And it was tough.
yeah.
So,
I remember talking to people, reading articles about, court documents that came out, the phone call where you were at work and he was threatening you with a motorcycle gang, and, the house, how you came home and the house was destroyed, and all of those things. Um, that clearly was a point where Ryan was at a place that the lowest of lows that he had obviously been at. I would say, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's things that we don't know about, but from the
yeah.
outside looking in, it seems like reading those things, that's when I was like, wow, he's really at rock bottom
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
How long would you say he was at, like, what you would maybe say is rock bottom? And this is the worst of the worst. We have to do something. I have to get out of it. He has to get help. Like,
That
we
was
can't
after
do this
I had
anymore.
left.
That was after you had left. All
Like,
of those things after.
we
Okay.
split up like New Year's Day of 2023.
Okay.
And all of that proceeded afterwards. Like, I think that we had the full conversation on January 13th. I had lunch with his dad on January 11th and told him like what I was going to do and what I had to do and this and that. And because like that was somebody I've really trusted. And then
Mhm.
on January 13th, like, I hadn't seen Ryan in days, 2 days. And I texted him and was like, I've been trying to find you. I can't find you. I don't know where you're at, but something's got to change. Like, we've got to talk. And that's kind of how it happened. It was a really shitty um, way for that to happen, but that's what happened. So
Yeah.
that was like January 13th, I guess.
Of 2023,
Yeah.
right?
And
Okay.
then all of that other stuff happened subsequently, like at the end of January, at Valentine's Day, at the end of February. And
So
then,
he spiraled after he
yeah,
learned that, like, you were leaving.
yes, after like I wasn't coming home, yes, it
And
was,
he had this idea that you were cheating on him.
yes,
And were you cheating on him?
no. He accused me of like crazy stuff with my boss, and it was really embarrassing. Like when I was doing construction sales, and he like called and threatened the guy, and the guy made a police report. Like it was very embarrassing because like that was not happening at all. He was
Yeah.
just I guess like at that time it was just like paranoia.
Yeah. Yeah. I've dealt with people like that, that they, under the influence of drugs, are so paranoid that they think the craziest things, like
Yeah.
crazy things. If the
I mean,
male guy,
yes, there's writing on the wall talking about like how hot our neighbor is, like with her dog, like like there's like crazy stuff. Like it
when I
was
tell
wild.
you, this is, I do this for a living. When I tell you, I tried to zoom in on that writing so much
Yeah.
to read it. I was like, what did he say? Like, what does all this say? Just because it was so wild to see,
Yeah.
like, he wrote all over the house. And I was just like, what could he be saying here? Like,
Well, like the craziest thing I think for me, and the one that like put it into the most perspective, was over Stella's doorway. It says like, God, please deliver our daughter from her mother's evil ways. And so like that is, hey baby. What? Yeah. Hold on just a second.
okay,
Downstairs. Put that.
I'm going to mute her while her daughter's out, guys. But I don't know which one of them it is. It sounded like it was probably her daughter.
Tell me about Paw Patrol.
Oh, okay. Well, I was like, let me mute her while the
I
baby's
mute
out there
myself.
talking.
Yeah.
So that you leave, you talk to Larry. A lot of people say that his parents are big time enablers, and I'm like, I could imagine if my only child, dealt with the addiction that Ryan dealt with. I'm sure it's a hard line to balance between loving them and being there for them, and then enabling them.
Yeah.
When you told Larry what your plans were, was he supportive of that? Was he like, "You got to do what you got to do"?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I don't know if y'all know this, but your light is paused.
The live is paused.
I can't push play on it.
Tell her to exit out and go back in.
Yeah, very supportive, like, yes, very supportive at that time.
Okay, so something that was said on a recent episode of the show was, and like, I don't want this to cause any problems, but Ryan proposed to Amanda, and Bentley was there for that, and Bentley went home and told Maci, and Maci said something along the lines of like, "I'm glad you're gonna have a stepmom that I like."
Yeah.
And then there's also been like conversation that like Ryan said, Bentley, she didn't like Bentley, Bentley didn't like her, like they didn't even like each other, something along those
Yeah.
lines. For Bentley, what do you say to that? Because I imagine being a step parent to an innocent young boy, of course you're gonna have affection for him. Of course you're gonna care for him. And to hear that, like, oh, he doesn't even like you, I'm sure that's probably hurtful.
So one of the lines that like I will not cross ever is talking about somebody else's kid ever.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
I will say is that I very much loved him with like my own son.
Yeah.
Like I would have. And I think that's kind of the role you take. Like it wasn't a traditional step parent role, and everybody is in very different places now. But
Mhm.
like if they were in my care, like I would have died for them. Like I would,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I care very much. But
Yeah. You would
but like I'm
protect him.
not going to go in further like into anything like about that.
I completely understand that because I
Yeah.
definitely don't want you to say
Yeah.
anything that
Yeah.
could potentially bring any problems.
No, no, no.
After,
It's just like I think that's like a respect thing to
yeah.
them,
Well, I do too, and that's why
Yeah.
when it was said on the show, I was just like, why say that? Like,
I just think that there's a way to, these are adult issues and that you deal with like as adults. So, for instance, I don't have the best relationship with really anyone on that side at all anymore. But I'm also able to, as a mother, separate my feelings towards them from my children's feelings towards them,
Mhm.
because those are my kids, family. And
Mhm.
I want them. I grew up with a big family. I love family. I love kids. Like, I want them to have that life and
Yeah,
have people around them that love them.
right.
So, like, I think two things can be true at the same time.
Yep. And that yeah, absolutely, because, your kids still go to Jen and Larry's. How often do they go? Like, every other weekend or something?
Yeah.
So you meet up with Jen, I guess? Like, is that
Hmm.
how y'all drop off, you meet up with Jen?
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Tiger,
have
space on. Good, you probably deserved it.
um
It's full time mothering over here.
Girl, I completely understand. If I'm in here in my office, I can kinda get away from it a little
I
bit, but sometimes
know.
they walk on in.
Yes.
Um, so a lot of people have this, you're bitter,
Yeah.
you don't like Amanda. And here's the thing is I don't think anybody what I had to put into perspective as well in covering you guys is like, that's a hard thing to deal with when you come
Yeah.
out of that relationship and then he quickly gets with somebody else and it's like a whirlwind situation. Like you may have some feelings on it, but as time goes by, it seems, I mean, from what I've been told by other people, it's like you are good with them living their life. You want to live your life. You're not
Yeah.
trying to have issues with them.
The
Um,
only thing that I care about and the only thing going forward that matters to me is that my kids are safe, that they're protected, that they feel those emotions, like that they are safe and protected. Hey, you hit your eye. Okay.
Come on, I'll come check. Come on.
Baby duty.
no, you're good. I was like
Uh,
muting you because I don't
oh,
know,
yeah.
like let me
Yeah.
mute.
Oh, yeah. Um, but the only thing that I care about is that my kids, like, they feel that way, that they feel like, hey, I'm good. Because if they're good, I'm good.
Right.
And my concerns have more to do with, like, the fact that for the past close to 10 years, I have known a side of somebody that is not fantastic
Mhm.
and in a different phase of life. And so I just want to make sure that they're okay. Like my kids are okay,
Right.
because that's a lot of responsibility. Obviously, like I'm my kid's mother, but I'm not mother to adults. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's scary to like let go of your kids and like being vulnerable, I guess. Like it's scary to just like trust that they're going to be great when
Mhm.
it hasn't been so great in the past. And that's not being bitter. That's just being like cautiously optimistic. I feel like,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I think something that people don't understand is, you know, before Ryan went to rehab, he was doing the worst I think we've ever seen him do. I mean,
yeah,
destroying the house, physical violence,
right.
doing the worst that he's ever done. So he goes into rehab, then he goes to a halfway house and he comes back and he's just great. He looks great. He's
Yeah.
smiling. He sounds great. And then it's like everybody in an instance, it's like, why are you not letting him see the kids? Why are you not letting
Well,
his girlfriend around? And you're like, I don't know the girlfriend. Like she's got a history as well. So like I'm just being cautious and like, maybe there were some moments to where I mean, I'm sure I would do this as well. There would be moments where I'd be like getting all these comments on my things of people
mhm,
telling me I'm being bitter and why are you keeping the kids from them, her, him? I
mhm.
might would say something too, like, don't tell me about my kids. Like they have arrest records and they have this and they have that. And I don't have to just let like I would probably have times where I maybe felt that way.
Well, and there's also conversations that, the public really isn't privy to that have been had like behind closed doors or through the telephone where like me and Ryan were getting along at one point and kind of trying to figure out like how we can co-parent these kids and raise them in the least traumatic way possible going forward. Obviously, I'm able to do that and capable of co-parenting because I have an excellent co-parenting relationship with my oldest son's dad, where If I needed something, I could pick up the phone and call him, and we can have a conversation about it, and that's it. He is the number one priority. So, like, obviously I'm capable of doing that.
Right.
But it's really hard to do that with all these external factors
Yeah.
involved. And
Yeah.
so, I am not trying to like be disrespectful in any way, like saying this stuff. It's just the facts.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is I think I'm like, it's just so funny because people can be so quick to forgive one side, but then hold on to everything you've done, which never makes
Right.
sense to me.
Right.
And that's why I always feel like I take up for you because I'm like, hey, okay, we can forgive Ryan. Ryan
Yeah.
seems to be doing better. Let's forgive him. Let's give him that other chance. But why are we still mad at Mackenzie then?
Well,
If we're
and everybody's willing to give grace, and that is fantastic. And I want that for everybody. But the thing was, I had to sit there through all of that trauma and traumatic experiences and go through the trenches with my kids. And so it takes a little bit to come out of that. You know, what
yeah,
people see on a screen, like, oh man, bless her heart, that looks terrible. But I'm over here living it. And I didn't get the luxury of working on myself. Like, I had to get up every day and go to work, and like I should, and be an adult and be a mom and handle all my business that I need to handle on top of dealing with all this other crazy stuff. And you know, so it's really hard, and I'm really trying to work on this, like, as a human being, to like have a little bit more compassion,
mhm,
because I am a Christian, and I do believe that like God gives us grace that is so free flowing that like we don't deserve. But
yeah,
me as Mackenzie, like, I have a hard time doing that,
mhm,
because you can do and be however you want to be towards me and hurt me and throw me in the fire. But when it affects my kids, I have a really hard time, and it really brings me out of character.
I agree. I think most moms are that way.
Yeah.
Most moms are that way, and I think that's one thing people forget about is what you did go through those last few months of y'all's marriage. There
Right.
was physical, the house, and then you
Yeah.
got blamed for the house still to this
Yeah.
day. Like, I have a video up on my TikTok of, like, the house, and there's
Yeah.
comments from a few people that's like, "Oh, she did that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What sense does that make?"
Well, I will say that it's not just um like viewers or whatever that thought that. There was a time that others close to the situation were convinced of that as well, and then someone had to come clean about it.
So
So,
that has happened. He has come clean to say, "Did it."
yes.
I mean, but if you watch his arrest video, he literally had white paint on his boots still. The officers pointed it out. They're like and when they walked up to him and he's like, "I didn't do it." They're like, "Do
Yeah.
what?" He's like, "The house. I didn't do that to the house." And they're like, "How do you even know what we're talking about?" And
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, I saw it. I saw it." And then they're like, "Dude, you still got white paint on your shoes that ain't even dry
Yeah.
all the way." So when I see people accuse you of being the one to damage the house and destroy the house, that doesn't sit well with me because I'm like, that is her kid's house.
Well, more than anything, like, this is not my home. This might be a place where I lay my head down that I pay for, but this is their home. This is what they know. When they say, I want to go home, they are talking about this location.
Right.
And this is their safe place. And this is where, their home base. And so it's really hurtful to like hear some of that stuff.
Is this the right place to get the batteries? Okay.
Hey, fine. I'll be in there in just a second, okay? Yeah.
Let's do six.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna keep you
All right.
much longer. I know the kids are like itching to have their mom
Yeah.
back in there. Couple more questions, then I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
You fixed the house. How long
Yeah.
did it take? Did you get any help financially for fixing that house?
My grandparents, so my granddad is a builder.
Okay.
and my granddad called in the subs. I was like in such a state where I was very angry. And I was like, don't do anything. Don't fix it. Don't do anything to it. Like, I can't afford to pay for it. Like, I don't even know what to do. So just leave it alone. Like, I can't even deal with this right now. And my family really stepped in for me and like stood in the gap for me and called in subs. And there were like the painters, they like donated like services and stuff. Like,
Oh, wow.
there were a lot of people that really like gathered around me and helped me through that time
Yeah.
and help me to like get it back together, because there was a time where like I didn't want to hear shit about the house. I don't want to hear about paint colors. I don't want to hear about the floor. Like, I'm so angry. I'm so mad. I'm having to sleep on a couch, get up at 5:30, get my kids ready. I'm not getting home till like 10 o'clock at night, because like the job that I was working at that time, I was it was basically like your apprentice year. It's called your associate year. And
Mhm.
you work your tail off. And so like I knew going into it that that was going to have to be a sacrifice. Um, and so I'm just like running ragged.
Where did
And
y'all live? I guess you had to live with
at
someone
my
else.
parents' house, yeah, I slept on
Okay.
my parents' couch for 8 months.
Wow.
hmm Yeah, it was tough.
Wow.
And I couldn't even come in the house without just like breaking down. And like, if you've ever felt the presence of God, you know, like how heavy that is. Well,
Mhm.
you can also feel the presence of like not God.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you walk through the doors, it was just like this really heavy feeling. And like, thank goodness, like, that has subsided and it's become a house that has like had laughter, like, bounce off the walls again and whatnot. So, like, I'm so thankful. Like, we have really good memories, because something that I see too a lot of times is people saying, like, how in the hell can you live in that house after like
Right.
everything that happened to it?
Yeah.
But I guess when you know, put it into perspective, like at the end of the day, like I said, this is my kid's home, and I have a 2.5% like interest rate, so them demons gonna have to move over.
Yeah.
You know?
You gotta keep that.
Yeah. Besides the point, you know.
Right. Ain't
But
going nowhere.
yeah, but we have been able to create these memories together in this home that are happy, that really outweigh like anything that I can remember. And I recently had to take a video of the house, and I not knowingly, but I took it at the same way, that like in the same pattern and path that I did, like when the body cam footage came out,
Mhm.
because I didn't release that.
Oh, we know. I know.
Oh.
I know you didn't.
And I didn't want anybody to know that. I was so embarrassed. And it actually came on the news, and I was at my parents' house. We were eating dinner, and everybody dropped their plates on the floor, because we were like, oh my gosh. But back to what I was saying, I had to take a video of the house, and I was taking the path. And so like that was probably the first time in a really long time that I've like looked at it and been like, damn, like I can remember standing here a couple years ago and it literally being like a natural disaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember whenever you did the 2 videos where you
Yeah.
showed the damage and you showed, how it's fixed now, and I
Mhm.
did a TikTok over it, and that TikTok
Mhm.
literally got, like, 4 million views, and some comments, good, some not,
Yeah.
some saying, "Oh, she did that herself," and I'm like, "Yeah, so she get paid to fix it herself? Like, what do you what do you mean? Like, that makes
Yeah.
makes no sense," you know?
Right.
I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't imagine coming home, already your marriage is just in ruins. Your husband is clearly not doing well. And then you come home to the only thing that you do still have is your
Yeah.
house. And it's just, and it wasn't like he just threw things around. I
Mhm.
mean, he completely demolished the house almost. There were holes everywhere.
So one of the biggest, I think, things for me, like the house was bad in itself, yes, and it was wild to like pick up the pieces of your life and like look at, I don't know, like I'm a very sentimental person, and I have a lot of like little mementos, and I had them from his family too, like of little things that were from our great grandparents and that had been passed down the line that were just in pieces. And like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff broke my heart, you know.
Yeah.
Now I'm to the point where like stuff is stuff. You know, stuff goes away. You better invest in you, because when you have no stuff, like you are left with yourself. So
Right. Well, I
get it
guess
together, sister.
when you go through, losing all these sentimental things that you have and they're broken and you can't put them back together.
No.
What can you do?
Right.
So,
But I don't
he
know.
did not pay for damages, and he did not. Somebody asked about restitution to pay for damages. He was not arrested for this because it's legally like his own home, and you can damage your own home, from my understanding, right?
So, yes. And what people don't know and what they didn't see and what I really didn't talk about was like SWAT team had to come. It was like it didn't just stop at the house. Like it kept going. Like there were events that happened after the house that were very scary. And the special investigator from the district attorney's office came and said that it was the worst crime scene he'd ever seen in his career that did not involve a homicide.
Wow.
So, and then I'm mad about the house, and I'm mad because I see that like, well, he parked his truck like in the front yard and left it, and it was kind of like a ha ha to me. That's how it felt,
Mhm.
on my
Yeah.
end. And so SWAT's coming, and I'm so angry, like I just didn't know what to do. It was a really tough time, and all this is taking place like on my lunch break, like on
And
subsequent
you're
days.
at work, trying to work
Yes.
for your family,
I'm
and you had to
constantly
continue working.
Yeah, and I'm constantly having to leave work because the cops keep calling because they need this or because they can't find him and then they have to do this. And like I truly am not trying to like, and I hope it's very clear throughout this video, like I'm not trying to put anyone down. The facts are just bad,
Right. Yeah.
So
And that's something else. I've had you on for over an hour, and I know your kids want you in there. So, there's a couple of other. Okay, what's your relationship like right now with Jen and Larry, and with Ryan and Amanda? Do you hope for changes with where it is now? Because I already kind of know where it is right now. But the audience are asking, like, what's your relationship with Jen and Larry, and what's it like with Ryan and Amanda?
Well, it's not great. And it's pretty much on Ryan's side, like we can't speak right
Yeah.
now. There's going to come a time where like we are going to have to, but like we can't speak right now. So that's non-existent.
Yeah.
But I can recognize that his parents are in a really weird position.
Hmm.
And does that mean that I agree with the things that they do? No. But I also know that like that's my own feelings. My kids have a very positive experience.
Right.
So I'm very happy for that. And that's really what matters.
Yeah. So,
But
what's your
my
hope for
relationship is not.
future? Say that again.
I said, but my relationship is not great. So there's my kids' relationship is fantastic, but my relationship not good.
Right. Okay. Ryan is engaged. The
Yeah.
ring thing. Can we talk about the freaking
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
that? Because I talked to people that knew you and they're like, so because somebody knew you, actually, I guess you sent the picture to them, they sent it to me. You had
Yeah.
taken the picture like last year of you with
Yeah.
the hose clamp on your finger.
Yeah.
You had taken that last
Right.
year.
Well, I thought it was funny. And the reason I even took that picture with that ring on my finger, first of all, talking about the song in general, like talking about like I don't want a one-time thing, I want 4 years in a ring. I love Treaty Oak Revival. I like that band. And so I just thought, oh, that's funny because I found that picture that I had taken. And I took it because in my head, I can remember like where I was and like kind of the scenario around it. And I was like, there ain't no way in hell. The only kind of ring you'll ever see on my finger again, it would have to be a hose clamp, like
Yeah.
it's So
There
it
was
was really like being
nothing.
audacious. No, it wasn't anything. I had no idea. And when I saw what we're referencing, I was like, what in the hell? Like, that is the weirdest coincidence ever.
Yeah, and people blamed you for it. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
she
and
had
I
to have
posted it
known."
beforehand.
Her kids went back and told her that and I'm like, "She
My
took
kid,
the picture a year earlier. There's no way.
but
She took the
also,
picture before it even happened."
what 5-year-old knows what a hose clamp is? And if you, okay, like logically,
ask someone, and they would have no clue.
Logically, if you sit there and think about that, like if I was to ask my kids, like, what did he propose with? And they're like, a medal, something. I would think like
A ring.
a ring, yeah. But a hose clamp, like there's no way that that could have ever,
Right.
you know what I mean?
That's such a weird coincidence, but I remember I had seen that clip of yours,
Yeah.
earlier, and then the episode airs, and I'm like, "That's weird," and then everybody starts talking about it, that you did that just out of spite for them, to, like, throw shade at them, and then I talked to a friend.
Yeah.
What is she saying?
She said, I just went in there and was like, hey, can y'all tell me what a hose clamp is? And they were like, no.
See? The kids don't know what it is.
No.
That's really funny, but, okay, how do the kids their sister, their baby sister, did they ever talk about her? How do they think about what do they think about the baby sister?
Yeah, Stella's really excited.
Yeah.
Jagger is not the biggest baby fan.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with like who's
Anything.
It's just like a baby in general.
Yeah.
It takes him a really long time to get warmed up. He think newborns freak him out.
Really?
Yes. And I also think it's he doesn't quite understand the dynamic. Because like I know that he asks questions that I don't really know how to give answers to.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't understand the dynamic of how he has a sister, but it's not from his mom.
Right. Yeah.
He does, like and his brain is extremely technical. That's just how he processes things. That's how he thinks. He's not being ugly. Um,
Yeah.
sure, somebody will say that. Like it's not that at all. He's just like, I just don't get it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I guess you're just gonna have to not get it because I don't know how to.
You'll figure it out as
Yeah.
you get a little older.
I don't know how to explain it to you, but like they were so excited about, or Stella for sure has been so excited about like a new baby and whatnot.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so your hope, I'm sure, in the future is that at some point you guys can all get along, and because right now, I mean, it took Maci and Taylor, Bentley 16, and it took them a while to get everything down. And that's what I keep telling people. I'm like, this is very new still. Like,
Yeah.
they're not even divorced completely, so it's still kind of new. There's still, emotions that come out every once in a while. If something's said, it may hurt somebody's feelings, or so. Like in time, I'm sure it'll get to the point where you guys hopefully can co-parent civilly. Like you're
Yeah.
not opposed to that. Like you're not opposed to like everybody getting along one day, right?
No, not at all. I would like for ultimately like Ryan to focus on his relationship with our kids and start there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Mackenzie, thank you so much. I had
You're
you
so
on for an hour.
welcome.
And literally, I could talk to you all day
I
because
know.
I love this. I think Cassie's mentioning TikTok. So, Cassie, are you and Mackenzie gonna go live on TikTok? What's going on TikTok later?
Well, I asked a lot of people in here if they would want us to go live, and they're saying yes, 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 yes. So I'm trying to talk Aaron to it.
Okay. Well, is that all three of us? Y'all two? Like,
Yeah,
what is the plan? Do y'all need me for that, or y'all don't need me for that,
Yeah.
or do y'all want me there?
I'm gonna put the kids down
Okay.
and
Turn on a movie for them.
yeah.
Y'all
I'm
just
gonna
let
put
me
them down.
know. Can you do three-way TikToks?
I know that. Yeah, if you can't, then she can just like sit by me, like we're right here.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So we can do mine and yours, and then
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
So you guys go follow Mackenzie on TikTok, follow me on TikTok, follow Cassie on TikTok.
now's
They're
the
gonna be
time
in bed.
to ask questions. If you want any other questions asked, now is the time to put
If
them.
you want any questions,
Yeah, 'cause
Mackenzie's
I'm not
open
gonna do
to
this again.
answer questions. So I appreciate you so much
Yeah.
for coming on here. I know it was hard with the kids coming in and out. I do apologize for taking you away from them. Go get them to bed. Thank you, and I'll catch you in a little bit over on TikTok.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you guys for watching. Y'all go follow our accounts over there if you guys want to catch us over there in a little bit. Bye, everybody.